What if I told you that the way you experience desire, attraction, and even your fantasies is hiding a secret spiritual code? A code that, once understood, could transform your love life, your creativity, and even the way you understand yourself. Have you ever wondered why your deepest desires feel both confusing and powerful, like they're trying to tell you something about your soul? Jung believed that when sexual energy is repressed or misunderstood, it doesn't just disappear. It transforms into something unconscious, often causing confusion, frustration, or even destructive behavior. Think about the times you felt sudden attraction, jealousy, or desire that seemed to come out of nowhere. That energy is your unconscious trying to speak, sending signals that something within you wants attention or integration. It is not about what society labels as good or bad, but about your own inner balance. Sexual energy, when ignored or shamed, can create patterns of obsession, addictive behaviors, or repetitive mistakes in relationships. These are not coincidences, they are messages from your psyche. Jung saw libido as a powerful messenger, and if we don't listen consciously, it will find another way to express itself, often in ways we cannot control. Dreams, fantasies, and attractions become a form of communication, guiding you toward parts of yourself that are unrecognized or rejected. Every desire carries a symbol, a hidden code about your emotional, psychological, and even spiritual life. By paying attention, you start to notice recurring patterns, fantasies that trigger strong emotions, or attractions that seem unusual. These are not flaws. They are invitations to explore yourself more deeply. Instead of judging or ignoring them, Jung taught that we can use this energy consciously. We can ask, what is this desire really showing me about myself? What part of my inner world needs attention, understanding, or integration? When we do this, sexual energy becomes more than pleasure. It becomes a guide, a tool for transformation, a bridge between unconscious impulses and conscious awareness. The moment you start decoding these hidden messages, you gain clarity about your emotions, your relationships, and your deeper longings. You stop being controlled by desire and start using it as a source of wisdom and growth. Jung also taught that our sexual energy is deeply symbolic. It is never just physical. Every attraction, every fantasy, every impulse carries a message from your unconscious. When you feel drawn to someone, it may not only be about them, but about qualities within yourself that you are ready to explore. Sometimes, the person you are attracted to reflects your own hidden strengths, fears, or desires. This is why sexual attraction can feel so intense, confusing, or even unsettling. It is a mirror showing you parts of yourself that are waiting to be acknowledged. Jung called this projection. Instead of seeing the other person clearly, we project our inner needs, longings, or unresolved conflicts onto them. Recognizing this projection is the first step toward understanding your own psyche. It helps you take responsibility for your desires and understand what your libido is truly pointing toward. When you begin to interpret your sexual energy symbolically, you discover that your deepest passions are guides, not traps. They can reveal your creativity, your potential for intimacy, and even your spiritual longing. Sexual energy becomes a language, a code that, if read carefully, shows you the way to personal growth and self-integration. The more conscious you become, the more you can experience desire without being consumed by it. You start to see relationships and attractions as opportunities for self-discovery, not just pleasure or distraction. Jung believed that when we learn to listen to this hidden language, libido becomes a force of insight, creativity, and even healing. Desire transforms from something that controls us into something that teaches us about ourselves, our relationships, and the soul's journey toward wholeness. When sexual energy is ignored or misunderstood, it often erupts in ways that feel chaotic or overwhelming. Jung noticed that people who repress desire can become confused, frustrated, or even destructive, because libido is not meant to be silenced. It is a vital life force. Think of it like a river. If blocked, it will find another path, sometimes flooding areas you don't expect. But when we consciously engage with our sexual energy, it can be directed toward growth, creativity, and deeper connection. This means seeing desire not as something to be controlled or judged, but as a signal from your unconscious. Every feeling of attraction, longing, or even frustration is telling you something about what you value, what you fear, and what parts of yourself are waiting to be integrated. Jung emphasized that integration doesn't mean eliminating desire or trying to be perfect. It means understanding it, channeling it, and letting it teach you about who you are. This conscious engagement allows you to experience intimacy without losing yourself, to enjoy pleasure without becoming dependent on it, and to recognize that sexuality is a path towards self-awareness. It is a way to unite your mind, heart, and body, bringing harmony where there was once tension or confusion. And by honoring your sexual energy, you give it meaning, and in turn, it can guide you toward emotional, psychological, and even spiritual growth. When sexual energy is ignored, denied, or misunderstood, it doesn't simply disappear. Instead, it often erupts in ways that feel chaotic, confusing, or even destructive. Jung observed that people who repress desire can experience frustration, obsession, or emotional instability because libido, the life force within us, is not meant to be silenced. Imagine it as a river. If you block it, it will find another path, sometimes flooding places you never intended, creating tension and distress. This is why so many people feel restless, addicted, or disconnected when they are unaware of their own sexual energy. But Jung also showed a more empowering truth. This same energy, when consciously understood and engaged, can become one of the most transformative forces in life. Sexuality is not just about physical pleasure or attraction. It is a messenger from your unconscious. Every feeling of desire, longing, or frustration is trying to tell you something about yourself, your values, your fears, your hidden potential. The challenge is to listen without judgment and to channel that energy consciously. Integration does not mean eliminating desire or becoming perfect. It means understanding your urges, exploring what they reveal, and using them to fuel creativity, emotional depth, and inner growth. When approached this way, sexual energy strengthens the connection between mind, heart, and body. It allows you to experience intimacy without losing yourself, to enjoy pleasure without becoming dependent on it, and to recognize that desire is symbolic, meaningful, and deeply connected to the psyche. By honoring this energy rather than fearing it, you allow it to guide you towards self-awareness, personal growth, and even spiritual awakening. The more you pay attention, the more you see that libido is not a random or selfish force. It is a teacher. Every attraction, every fantasy, and every pulse of desire contains information about who you are and who you are becoming. Understanding this, Jung suggested, is the key to transforming sexual energy into a source of wisdom, power, and authentic connection. When you consciously embrace it, your libido becomes not a source of confusion or shame, but a river of life that flows in harmony with your mind, heart, and soul. When sexual energy is fully integrated, it becomes a bridge between your conscious mind and your unconscious self. Jung believed that desire is never just physical. It is a symbolic language your soul uses to communicate with you. Every attraction, every longing, and every erotic thought carries a hidden message about your inner world. It may point to unacknowledged parts of yourself, unresolved emotional wounds, or untapped creative potential. Most people, however, treat sexual energy as either a problem or a simple pleasure, ignoring the deeper meaning it carries. The result is often frustration, emptiness, or repeated patterns in relationships. But when you start to observe your desires without judgment, you begin to notice their messages. Why are you drawn to a certain type of person? What does that attraction reveal about the qualities you admire or deny in yourself? What is your libido trying to awaken within you? Jung emphasized that this process is not about controlling or repressing sexual urges, but about engaging with them consciously. When you do this, desire becomes a tool for self-discovery, creativity, and emotional depth. Your libido transforms from a chaotic or selfish force into a powerful energy that supports personal growth. This integration allows you to love more deeply, connect more authentically, and experience intimacy without fear or confusion. Sexual energy then becomes not just a private experience, but a reflection of your journey toward wholeness. The more you honor and understand it, the more you reclaim your own power and presence. You no longer chase pleasure as a distraction, nor do you avoid it out of guilt or shame. Instead, you recognize it as a sacred part of yourself, an energy meant to be explored, respected, and consciously expressed. Jung saw this conscious engagement as the path to psychological maturity, emotional balance, and even spiritual awakening. Your sexual energy, once integrated, not only fuels relationships and creativity, but also illuminates the path toward your true self, guiding you to live fully, freely, and with deeper awareness. Desire is no longer a random pull, it is a compass pointing toward your inner evolution. Sexual energy is one of the most powerful forces within us, and Jung believed it is far more than a physical or purely emotional drive. It is a language the soul uses to communicate with the conscious mind, a symbolic energy that points to deeper truths about ourselves. Every desire, every attraction, and every erotic thought is trying to tell you something about your inner world. It may highlight parts of yourself that are hidden, ignored, or underdeveloped, and it can reveal emotional wounds, unhealed traumas, or untapped creative potential. Many people, however, ignore this language. They treat sexual energy as a source of guilt, shame, distraction, or mere pleasure, missing the deeper meaning it carries. The consequences are predictable: repeated patterns in relationships, confusion, emptiness, and frustration. Jung emphasized that the goal is not to suppress sexual energy or try to control it with moral rules, but to engage with it consciously and symbolically. By observing desire without judgment, you can uncover what your libido is pointing toward. Why are you drawn to a certain type of person? What is the attraction really showing about the qualities you admire, fear, or deny in yourself? What does your unconscious wish to awaken or express through this energy? When this awareness is applied, sexual energy transforms from a chaotic, impulsive, or selfish force into a creative, life-affirming energy. It supports emotional depth, personal growth, and self-understanding. Intimacy becomes more than a physical connection. It becomes a meeting of conscious and unconscious, a reflection of wholeness within the self. You no longer chase pleasure for distraction or avoid it from guilt. Instead, desire becomes a tool for insight, creativity, and self-integration. Jung saw this conscious engagement with libido as essential for psychological maturity, emotional balance, and spiritual growth. Sexual energy, once reclaimed and understood, becomes a guide, illuminating your path toward your authentic self, helping you live with greater freedom, awareness, and depth. Desire is no longer random or chaotic. It becomes a compass, pointing you toward healing, self-discovery, and true inner power. Ourselves. Our psyche is divided into parts, the conscious and the unconscious, the masculine and feminine, thought and feeling. Libido carries the potential to bridge these divisions, but only if we approach it consciously. When we ignore or repress desire, it escapes into unconscious patterns, projections, and compulsions, often causing confusion or conflict in our relationships. For example, we might find ourselves repeatedly attracted to partners who trigger the same old wounds or repeating the same mistakes in love. This is the unconscious attempting to communicate through desire, using sexual energy as a messenger. Jung's insight was that if we can observe these impulses without shame or judgment and reflect on what they symbolize, we begin to understand ourselves at a deeper level. Sexuality becomes a teacher, not a temptation, guiding us towards self-awareness and wholeness. The integration happens when we allow desire to inform our choices, creativity, and emotional growth, rather than control us blindly. When erotic energy is engaged consciously, it fuels not only intimate relationships, but also artistic expression, spiritual practice, and personal mastery. Desire becomes a form of intelligence, an inner compass that aligns body, mind, and spirit. We start to recognize patterns in our attraction, understanding that what we project onto others often reflects the parts of ourselves we have yet to accept. By reclaiming libido from unconscious repetition and channeling it with awareness, we transform sexual energy into a force that strengthens the psyche instead of fragmenting it. Intimacy deepens because it is no longer driven by neediness or fear, but by mutual recognition and respect. Passion becomes balanced with insight, and pleasure becomes intertwined with meaning. Jung believed that when libido is consciously integrated, it acts as a bridge between desire and purpose, between instinct and wisdom, allowing us to live fully, creatively, and authentically. It becomes a sacred energy, a personal guide leading us towards self-realization and psychological freedom. Jung also warned that when sexual energy is disconnected from meaning, it can easily become destructive. In a world where sex is often treated as a commodity or a mere source of pleasure, libido can fragment the psyche instead of nourishing it. People may feel restless, dissatisfied, or trapped in cycles of addiction, seeking fulfillment in temporary encounters that never truly satisfy. This happens because desire, when ignored or misunderstood, escapes into the unconscious and drives behaviour without conscious guidance. Jung's approach was different. He encouraged us to explore what our sexual energy is really trying to communicate. Every attraction, fantasy, or erotic dream carries a message about ourselves, our needs, and the parts of the psyche that want to integrate. Instead of judging desire, he taught us to listen, reflect, and respond with awareness. By doing so, we reclaim the power of libido, turning it into a source of creativity, insight, and connection. Sex becomes more than a physical act. It becomes a symbolic language of the soul, revealing our inner conflicts, our longings, and our potential for transformation. When approached consciously, sexual energy helps us recognize projections, withdraw unconscious impulses, and channel desire into authentic relationships, art, or personal growth. It transforms impulsive craving into conscious passion, fleeting lust into enduring intimacy, and scattered energy into focused creativity. Jung believed that the psyche speaks through libido, using it to invite healing and wholeness. When we learn to interpret these messages, erotic energy becomes a bridge to the self, a tool for individuation, and a gateway to deeper understanding of who we truly are. This is why sexual energy, far from being something to fear or suppress, is one of the most powerful forces for personal transformation and spiritual awakening. Jung also explored how ancient traditions treated sexual energy as sacred, not just physical. In cultures like India, Egypt, and Greece, eroticism was embedded in rituals, myths, and spiritual practices, showing that sexuality was always more than pleasure. It was a path to transformation. Tantra, for example, teaches that the union of masculine and feminine energies symbolizes the merging of consciousness and unconscious body and spirit. Alchemical texts describe the sacred marriage, not as literal sex, but as the inner fusion of opposites, creating wholeness within the psyche. Myths of divine lovers, gods, and ecstasy were never just stories. They encoded psychological truths about desire, longing, and integration. Jung realized that modern society had lost touch with this sacred dimension. By ignoring the symbolic meaning of sex, people risk living fragmented lives, constantly seeking fulfillment outside themselves. But when we reclaim sexual energy consciously, we reconnect with the soul's deepest desires and potentials. Desire becomes not a trap, but a guide. Passion, not a distraction, but a doorway. Every erotic feeling, dream, or attraction can be understood as a message from the unconscious, revealing where we need healing, integration, or growth. Jung emphasized that sexual energy is raw, powerful, and transformative, but only when approached with awareness. By viewing sex as a symbolic act, we honor both our body and soul, recognizing that desire carries the potential for wisdom, creativity, and self-discovery. In this light, sexuality is not separate from spirituality. It is a bridge connecting our inner depths with conscious life, allowing libido to fuel personal growth, emotional maturity, and authentic intimacy. Not just random or taboo, they are symbolic expressions of our unconscious, guiding us toward wholeness. A dream of sexual union might reflect a desire to integrate parts of ourselves we have ignored or repressed. Dreams about forbidden or unusual partners often symbolize aspects of our psyche that challenge us, like authority, shadow traits, or hidden desires. Even dreams where sexual encounters are interrupted or unsatisfying point to blocked energy, unresolved conflicts, or emotional needs. Jung believed that by reflecting on these dreams without shame, we can understand the deeper meaning of our desires and learn how to integrate them consciously. Erotic dreams are not invitations to act out, but to awaken awareness. They show where our libido seeks expression and where the soul is calling for attention. By listening to these messages, we can reclaim sexual energy from the shadow, transform it into creative power, and use it to grow emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically. The unconscious speaks through desire, and by decoding it, we align our inner and outer lives, bringing more clarity, intimacy, and fulfillment. Finally, Jung showed us that reclaiming and transforming sexual energy is a path to true inner power and wholeness. When we bring our libido from the shadows into conscious awareness, it no longer controls us. It becomes a source of creativity, insight, and spiritual growth. Sexual energy, once integrated, fuels not just desire but meaning. It allows us to love deeply without losing ourselves, to connect without obsession, and to express ourselves without shame. This transformation begins with acknowledging projections, understanding fantasies, and listening to our body and dreams as messengers of the soul. By approaching desire with awareness, we give it symbolic meaning, turning raw energy into psychic gold. Our relationships change too. We no longer seek completion in others, but share from a place of inner fullness. We become capable of intimacy that is conscious, passionate, and balanced. The energy that once caused confusion or compulsions now inspires creativity, art, empathy, and purpose. Jung called this the inner marriage, the union of opposites within ourselves, masculine and feminine, mind and heart, desire and wisdom. Sexual energy becomes sacred, a bridge between the conscious and unconscious, the body and the soul. It is no longer a problem to solve or a temptation to resist, but a doorway to understanding who we truly are. Every longing, dream, or fantasy carries a message. By listening, we reclaim power, heal fragmentation, and awaken to the full potential of our psyche. This is not about perfection, guilt, or repression. It is about conscious integration, erotic integrity, and the awakening of the self. Jung's work teaches that sexuality, when approached with depth and awareness, is one of the most profound forces for personal transformation. It is a sacred code hidden within our desire, waiting for us to unlock it. To embrace it is to step into our own wholeness, to connect with life and love in a deeper, more meaningful way, and to finally understand that behind every desire lies not just longing, but the potential to become fully alive. Sexuality, when understood through Jungian psychology, is the language of the soul, the energy of transformation, and the key to discovering the self we were always meant to be. If your sexuality is secretly holding messages from your unconscious, are you ready to finally decode them and discover what your soul has been trying to show you?